That just no. that you tried. Okay.
Okay. Well, it relates to our guest. He worked there. He's a big fan.
Crispy Animators, when you're on this train, like stuff like this is bound to happen, especially when you're with Mr. Positive. See, with me, everything is safe. You're never going to start a podcast and with hearing. Well, hello, everyone. This is the Crispy Animator Podcast. It's Termeh and Mr. Positive, Alejandro. We have very exciting news. I mean, you already know the news. We have a special guest today. It's JD. We're very excited. Haas. We were trying to have him as a guest for a while, but we didn't feel like we were big enough to have him on. But Alejandro is amazing. He got him. And we're so...
He's so nice. He's just so nice.
I don't know the adjectives. Yeah,
it's okay. He was just so nice when I messaged him. He was so excited. He's like, "Yeah, let's talk. I just want to talk about animation." That it was perfect.
Yeah, and our recording was also all very excitement and just he told us stories about his life, and
how he started. Yeah.
How he started.
Then, what do you want to do for lunch? Let's go to Skywalker Ranch. Like, are you kidding me? So then you go to the ranch, and the first person that I see on the bike is Ben Burt. And then you see Dennis Muir and you see George Lucas. It was just absolutely insane. And then because I was so nerding out, at one point I get a call from production going, "Hey, do you want to be an extra in the movie?"
So because of all the information, we're going to do it in 2 parts. Today you're going to hear part 1. Next week you'll hear part 2. They'll be a little different from each other. So
I might dress up like Leia.
Oh my God, the image just popped into my head.
I mean, I already have the buns. I just got to take part of this.
Yeah, the mustache is fine. It's just the hair that you need to fix up.
I can't get rid of the mustache. The mustache has got to stay till after I come back from Paris.
Yeah, we're excited for you to listen to his story and get inspired like we were.
Also feel like, how he's going through the whole strikes and layoffs and whatnot is something cool that everyone's going to hear.
It was a different perspective that I never thought about. Like, you always think when people make it and they're that high up, they're fine. Like, you can pick and choose, but no, it is a different perspective. So that part is very interesting. Let us know what you think. Comment. It will help us a lot. Don't forget to subscribe.
And also to his channel too. Subscribe to his channel. And also to
his channels. If you don't know, he has amazing YouTube channels, news, talk about jobs, openings and everything, and the news of the industry. And he's just a delight to listen to, okay? If it for nothing else, just to listen to him, go subscribe to his channel.
Yep. Enjoy, guys. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Sorry, I was interrupting right away.
Oh, no, it's okay.
We're always talking beforehand, so it's okay.
Can you guys say something?
Hello,
how are you?
Yeah. Fantastic.
Well, first off, thank you for joining us on this podcast. It's actually a real honor for us to have you here.
No, don't even start like that.
Oh no, we have to start like that.
We do.
We were so excited when you say yes, because for both of us, you're like the person in the industry that we look up to so much, and it's it was unbelievable that we have this opportunity to talk to you.
That is, you are out of your minds, but I appreciate it.
No, it's true. I mean, what I was telling Termeh when you said yes, I was a video editor and then decided to become an animator. And you're the first channel I found on YouTube. Your blocking series was what got me into I really like this. Let's see if I could continue this. So no, it's true.
Wow. I like that blocking series because it's so weird and nerdy. I like making sounds and stuff like that. I get comments from as I switch studios. There's always someone like, "Oh, hey, I saw your clips," and it's always like half embarrassment and half appreciation that they take the time to actually watch, the stupid stuff online. but it's kind of like, oh, they saw me. Like, what do they think? Did I say something wrong? Like, I don't know. I don't know if my methods are the right methods, but yeah. But you're very kind. You're exaggerating, but I appreciate it.
I am not exaggerating.
Flattery. I like it.
I just remember I went to CTN. One of the times I went to CTN, you had a panel, and I was just attending the panel. And afterwards, I was so excited that I just did like a selfie just with my face and you in the far, far, far background. And afterwards, I looked at my phone. I saw that you were like doing this in the background. I was like, oh my God. I shared it with everyone.
What was the panel?
I don't remember. It was years ago. I've attended so many of your panels, but I think this was just one of them.
Right. That was with Bobby. Was that Bobby Beck? And
oh, yes.
I remember I had slides, and then I remember that one because I had a story I wanted to tell, and then Bobby said, "We're running out of time. You gotta keep going."
Yes.
And then it was something really important at the end that I had to skip because of it. I was super bummed. So I'm doing like my vitamin C. I'm doing whatever I can. I got cough drops. I got everything.
Honestly, we understand you because I got COVID a few weeks ago, and I've been coughing continuously in the episodes. And Alejandro also got sick and coughs.
Yeah, I had bronchitis last week. We are the animation cough sick podcast. That's what we are.
Nice. Yeah, this is my drug infused vitamin water. There you go.
Enjoy it.
The joy of being old. But thank you for having me on there. I know you have better things to do, so I appreciate it.
Oh, no.
We've been talking about it since I messaged you the day, and Sormeh and I have just been like, oh my God, I'm so nervous.
When we started the podcast, we always wanted you, like we always thought that it would be so cool to have you on, but we just started and we're like, there's no way. We just decided to just ask anyway. And then when you said yes,
why would I say no? Why would I say no?
Because we're small podcasts still, and I don't know.
The fact that someone is interested in having a conversation and wasting an hour with me, I think I should be saying thank you. Like, oh my God, they want to talk to me. Why do they want to talk to me?
We
sick animator. What do they want to know?
We love animation, and like we love hearing different people's stories. So we wanted to really learn your story, and then get into. Did you ever really imagine yourself as an influencer? I have to say it.
Don't say that word.
Fully.
Don't say that word. I hate that word. It's like content and influencer and all
public figure in the animation industry.
So now you can be old again. senior public figure.
A person that people look up to in the animation industry.
There you go.
Wow, I don't know if you make it better. Like, I'm so self-conscious now. No, for sure not. And I think the only reason why I'm doing this, besides liking it, like I like teaching and I like doing all that stuff. And this is always what I tell people. When I finished school, it was a different landscape back then where you could just Google people that were just there. So I did the @ilm.com and @pixar.com to find people's emails. Like it was very I don't know how correct it was to do that, but I found people's email and emailed them and asked questions and then showed them my shots. And I remember that everyone responded. Everyone had something to say.
So lucky.
It was insane. And to me, it just blew my mind because it was, the little guy from Switzerland. Like, I don't know what's going on in this industry and in America. I don't know, like, how people are. I don't know. Yeah. And the fact that everyone took time to respond, and the best one was, and I forgot who it was. I don't know if it was Victor Navone or Cameron Miyazaki. I don't know, like one of those like top guys that I found online. And I remember asking them, what do you want to see? And they said, just send me something. And I thought, if I send them like a box lift, he's seen that so many times, it would be boring.
Yeah.
So I sent 3 clips and I wrote, pick any of them. But probably in my broken English and stupidity, I wrote something. I don't know what I wrote. He was slightly upset because, like, dude, I said 1 clip, you're sending me 3. So clearly he misunderstood. But he wrote, like, I think it was like a page per shot. Probably was like 2 sentences. But in my mind, I remember massive notes for each shot. So the fact that I upset him, but he still did it, I never forgot that. So to me, it's always like, I am very lucky to be where I am. And as you grow older, you understand like the teaching landscape more, where like people don't have access to like English language material, for instance. Like all my stuff is in English, right? But people don't know English, they would not have access. Like, there's always like a barrier to for someone. So for me, it's always like whatever I learn, let's pay forward and do the same thing that I got back then, because I wouldn't be here without, for sure, all those people that I emailed. Keith Lango back then was a massive. He was like the only guy online. Him and Kenny Roy were the only ones that had shared stuff, and Keith Lango had on his website video tutorials. That was way before YouTube. Like no one was on YouTube at that point. I mean, like some people, but not like tutorial wise or helping, like no real animators.
Just start.
So Keith Lango was like the one like behind doors. Like you were like, oh, do you know him? We had like Xerox copies of like old drawings. It was crazy. It was way before YouTube. So for me, it was like they took the time to help. Like they didn't have to. So for me, it's always kind of like that's the impetus of doing that. Plus, I like it. Like it's not like I feel obligated, but I also like doing both.
It really shows too. Young. Yeah, 'cause I think one of the things that really draws me to all the online content that you post is how much it seems like you're enjoying the process of doing it. And I get like, when a lot of times, especially when I watch your news sections, the short ones, I usually watch them when I'm a little anxious about the industry, or when I just want to like feel isolated. I just watch it. I'm like, oh, okay. He seems fine. He seems excited about everything. It's going to be okay.
Well, that's always the thing though, because I see a lot of job postings, but I also see a lot of students asking me in class or emailing me like, hey, what's going on? Should I do this? Like I get the Instagram posts or DMs where you just get hi or hey. You go, okay, hi back. And it's like this 5-year process until a question comes up. But then it's like, what should I do? I want to learn this, but it's really scary right now. And it's like, it wasn't that scary 20 years ago. Yeah. So like, I'm happy because I have a job. And yes, I need to look for jobs every time it ends. But I think I'm not in that position of I'm graduating. I have a reel, but it's not like, like you have connections and all that stuff. So I'm definitely ahead of the curve where I don't have that anxiety yet. I'm sure it will happen at one point more. So like, I know what you mean. At the same time, I don't know what you mean. I mean, like I'm not in that position. So, but it's also a reason why I do the animation minutes, because for myself, it's all very selfish. My channel is very selfish. I want to know what the jobs are so I can apply. But it's also, you got to feed people. They don't have the time. Like I love being on Twitter because my Twitter feed is all animation, games, and movies, basically. So I always like seeing demo reels and people's work and jobs. But it's also because I have the time. Like I'm on the toilet doing things like browsing, like whenever you have time, right? Yeah. But some people might not have the time to browse and check for jobs. It's for me, it's always this constant pay forward. Just help people wherever you can. Because I got that help. It's like I'm only here also because my dad paid for school for the academy in San Francisco, the animation university. That's an expensive school. You know what I mean? Like, so it's already that barrier of entry of getting the education. Nowadays, with YouTube, you don't have to go anywhere. You just go on YouTube and you have everything there.
Is that why
that has changed?
Is that why you taught at the academy? Because you went there?
That's a good question. I taught there probably because I knew the school and it was easier. You mean like I knew the professors there and the staff instead of applying somewhere. Also, it was close because I lived there. So instead of commuting,
true.
I don't. It felt like I don't remember what was the thing. Maybe I think a student asked me, "Why don't you teach here?" Maybe that was it.
A lot of my friends and people in the industry have been to the academy, and they always talk about it. I'm like, "Oh, that's an expensive school. I haven't been. I'm not jealous. It's fine." Until I found out that you teach the animation classes there, I'm like, the money doesn't matter. I should have gone to the academy.
It's the reason why I picked that one way back, because it was like, it's not cheap, but it was the cheapest. At least 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Since you're going way back, I remember my dad asking, "What do you want to do? Like for your animation?" Or I didn't really know that I wanted to do animation, to be honest. Like that was the thing. I grew up with movies in terms of Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Ghostbusters, Goonies. Like effects movies, something like that. Right. And I wanted to do effects, not knowing at all what that means. But there was nothing really in Germany a little bit, but like Switzerland, nothing. To this day, there's not much going on there. So it was more like, okay, I'm going to go to Zurich and learn programming and then go to film school, not knowing anything about what that means. And then hopefully this combination
could
gets
lead
me
you to somewhere.
Yeah. There's nothing really to do. And then my dad asked me, well, what do you really want to do? I said, well, I want to work for those big companies because I like those movies. Again, I don't know what that meant, working for those companies. And then he just said, well, what is the source? It's like, well, and back then there weren't that many companies. Again, this is 20 years ago. So it was basically ILM and Disney. And I can't draw whatsoever. So I knew I was never going to be one of the 9 old men. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm now a sad old man, right? Not knowing how to draw. So it was just, I want to go to ILM. Like an insane thought. And then my dad asked, well, where is this? And he goes, San Francisco. San Rafael back then. And then, okay, so then find schools. Like it's just insane that he asked me that. So then I did a search, and then the Animation World Network, AWN, that's the site, I don't know if that still exists. They had like the top 30 schools, and it was top 10 written, what they meant and what they did, and then the rest 20 just titles. So I wrote to the first 10 an email to every HR application department, and the academy wrote back, was the first one to write back. And they had no portfolio submission. You can just apply, and I had no portfolio. So it's fantastic. They write back right away. They have a really good international program. And funny enough, this sounds so superficial, but they had this academy newsletter type thing where students talk about what they do. And then in one of those paragraphs, they said, and Swiss students, I don't know if it was an animator or film school, probably film school, did this to go to this company. And for me, it was, oh, what, a Swiss person was able to do this?
Yeah.
And it's funny because like people talk about representation, like not seeing themselves on screen and stuff like that. And for me, even though it sounds, like I'm the white male, like it should be easy for me, but it was like this tiny sliver of, oh, this little cow town village Switzerland person can be in America and do this.
Possible.
So that blew my mind. So then I applied, and of course they accepted me because my dad paid. They just want money. They're a good school. Don't get me wrong, but it's not. It's a for-profit school. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But no portfolio. And then, that was the thing that I wanted to do. And I still remember my mom, because my dad at one point said, "So what did you decide?" And I was sitting here, my mom here, my dad here, and I said, "I'm going to go to San Francisco." And the moment I said that, I saw my mom going like this.
Oh,
she was crying, and it was just like, like I was there for 20 years or more, and then it's like, because usually you go to school, you slowly detach from family, and you live in a different city, and that's it. But it was like a hard cut. I'm going to a different country, because she knew, because she's from France, and she did the same thing. So she left her family to come to Switzerland. So she knew exactly what that meant. Like, I'm not going to see this guy anymore. Only when he needs money, when he sends the bills. And then that was that. And then I got to the academy, and then it was math or physics or scripting or something. Because they put me in the VFX track. Again, I didn't know what that meant. And within like the first 10 minutes, I'm going, this is not what I want to do. Like, I want to do, not that I can draw, but hands-on stuff. I don't want to program what the lightsaber does. Again, not knowing what any of this means. So then I changed my major, and the advisor said, just do animation. I go, okay, what does that mean? I said, well, here are the classes. And I see history of animation, I see figure drawing, and I see computer graphics. And I go, this all sounds really fancy in my, how old was I? 22, 23. It just blew my mind. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And then my roommate, I remember when I first got there, he had a DVD player with Blade Runner, Dark City, and stuff like that. So for me, that was like, wait, someone else likes DVDs and movies. Like, it just, everything blew my mind. It was like step by step, just blew my mind. And then I got into those classes, and it was not animation. Hey, what? Back then, the academy had, you front load like improv class, figure drawing, but then like design drawing. It's some weird classes you should really take, color and design, stuff like that, until 2 semesters before I graduated. It started. I had history of animation, and I had stop motion. I think that was before, but that was the shock too, because it's like, okay, I'm ready. I want to animate. Like, we had Maya 1, which was, you learn Maya, you learn modeling, rigging, and all that stuff. So I did like a tiny bit of animation, and then Maya 2 was all about texturing and special effects. And I asked, can I just animate? And they said yes, but it was an animation teacher, so I didn't know what I was doing. So I was just moving things. And then Maya 3 was the first class where It was Lisa Mullins. I always loved telling that story. I love her. She was so honest with her feedback. And there was the first class where she taught principles of animation. She was running around the room, acting things out. Like, that blew my mind. And the homework was watch this Disney movie, watch that movie, study this. I go like, wait, that's homework? Like,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
It was amazing. And then spring was the next semester with more classes, and then I graduated, and that was that. So I was really lucky that to get into the class, but then also finding a major that I liked. I also could have hated it. Like, I can't animate and I hate it. So now I wasted all this time and money.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always kind of like lucky. Yes, I worked really hard, but you can't discount timing. You know what I mean? Like, the way I did it, you had to do 4 classes. I'm rambling. Just yell when I should stop.
Yeah, go ahead.
Clearly I like to talk. You have to take 4 classes, and once you get closer to graduating, all the students start talking. Like, oh, this is the strategy, this is what you should do. And no one wanted to graduate in fall because no one was hiring in fall, which is not true. Actually, more people were hiring in fall. But so I started taking 5 classes where you would load up online classes like English writing, which I didn't care about. So you just kind of copy paste the answers, and the rest is animation stuff to time and compress the schedule so I could graduate in May.
Yeah.
And again, that was lucky because that led to some things, but I didn't have my work visa ready. That didn't work out. So then I actually went back to the academy in fall for one more class. And then that reel was better. And then I got hired at ILM, which again, timing wise, is when they were looking for Star Wars.
Dang.
You got hired at ILM right after school? Like from school?
Thanks to Sean Kelly, and I will never not say his name. It was basically, I graduated, and when you graduate here in the States, you have to do the OPT, as it was called, the optional practical training. So you get a work visa for 1 year. Again, me being an idiot, I didn't do it right away. So you have to do it like 3 months in advance. So when you graduate, you get it.
Yeah.
I graduated and then didn't get it for 3 months. So
oh no,
I graduated with a reel, and the academy was really cool. They do like a showcase for studios where they show the student stuff for multiple studios. So I had, I think, Tippett Studio. I can't remember. One was ESC. They did The Matrix 2 at that point. And I interviewed, and they were crunching. It was just like the end of that movie. And if you remember that movie, there was so much stuff going on at the end. There was so much to do. They wanted me, couldn't, because I had no work visa. And I oh no! I think it was another company. I think Tippett as well, something like that. For Starship Troopers 2, I think, I can't remember, but like 2 won it, and it didn't work out. So then summer had no courses. I worked on my reel a bit more, went back to the academy because back then they had something called I think personal enrichment classes. Again, this is like 20 years ago. I'm totally wrong about everything. And that was a Pixar class. And that was the other stupid thing too. Like, here's how arrogant I was. You at the academy, you send your reel to Pixar, and then they select who they want in their classes. And they have Pixar 1, 2, 3 at the academy back then. I set my reel after because I took Maya 3, like I said, in fall, and then Maya 3 again in spring. And the academy said you can't do that. You can't take a class twice. It's like, why not? Well, it's in the system. It won't let you. And I said, well, I'm paying. You're taking my money to give me this class. That's the only time I was slightly arrogant already. And then I said, okay. So then they did that. So I had all those the shots together, and then when they submitted for Pixar, Pixar came back. They said, oh, you are good enough where you can choose Pixar 1, 2, 3. And usually you just go get into Pixar 1. So I'm already like ego massive. That's
I'm ready.
I'm going to take Pixar 3, which is idiotic because you should take Pixar 1 because it's the fundamentals with really good teachers to hammer down the principles.
Yeah.
I went to Pixar 3. Pixar 3 is a short story track where you don't learn about technique. It's more about the story stuff, which I love the class, and I learned a ton in terms of story and like movies and stuff like that. But it didn't help me at all in my reel. So then in fall, personal enrichment, I went back and took Pixar 2. Which was fantastic. That was
you didn't go to 1?
No, because I guess they still had maybe my on file that I could skip. I don't know. But Angus MacLean and Scott Clark, those are my teachers. They were fantastic because Scott Clark was the overall view, and this is kind of how I teach now, where like I'm ripping everyone off. You see the shot, and then you have like the overall feeling. How does it feel? Is the story clear? Did it make sense? And then Angus would come in frame by frame and start going, okay, take this frame out and work on timing. I loved all that. And thanks to them, my reel was a lot better. And then I remember, this is why I want to go back to Sean Kelly. There were people like, hey, Sean Kelly is upstairs in the other room teaching, and he's ILM and all that stuff. So I went upstairs, and I'm old, so it was a VHS tape back then. That's the tape with the thing.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. I'm so old. Yes. We had to send reels to companies with stickers and envelopes. It was expensive too back then to do your reels
on VHS.
Oh, yeah.
Also, when you transfer your QuickTimes wrong to VHS, it's off by a couple of frames, so your lip sync is off. Anyway, I go to the class and I see Sean and I show him the scene, but this was still a QuickTime. And he looked at it and he was awesome because he said, okay, that's cool. Cut this. This is not good. It was super honest. And then and I told him just recently again, this story, and I think he forgot. It was like in a movie. I showed him everything and I was like waiting for more stuff. He goes, okay, that's it. Like, okay. So then I turn around and I walk towards the door, and it's like in a movie where you go like, please say something, please say something. And I'm about to exit, and he goes, by the way, when you make those changes, send me your reel again. And I was like, yes. So I did that. I sent it to him, graduated all that stuff, sent my 50 tapes everywhere to even I remember Film Roman, they did The Simpsons, 2D stuff, a 3D reel to 2D studios is stupid, but I sent it everywhere. And I got an interview at Tippett, Factor 5, which was a gaming company that doesn't exist anymore. They were fantastic. They were such nice people. And then Sony, back then when companies had money, they flew me to LA for an interview. Rigger that saw my reel online that told his Anim Soup what it was, and then through that, it's always connections. Then I got into an interview, and I remember going through that whole process of the two people coming in, interviewing you, leaving, no more people coming in, and all that stuff. And in my mind, I heard through someone, I can't remember who, that ILM was looking at my reel. That's all I heard. So every time Sony said, hey, we want you for Polar Express, back then was the movie, I was so stupid. I said, I don't know if I want to do that movie. Instead of saying yes. And they said, why not? It's because I'm not trained in motion capture. I don't think I can do this for you because I have no experience.
Yeah.
So they said, no, you're fine. We can train you. I said, okay. But what else do you want to do? Well, I don't know. I might have another interview somewhere else. So they kept going, okay, well, let's do, at the end, it was let's do Spider-Man 2 or something like that. And open
They really
range.
wanted you. Wow.
That open season. You know what I mean? They gave me all those things, and I said, that's awesome. I want to do it. It was $30 an hour too. Back then it was really high for the salary. Yeah. And then at the end I said, that sounds awesome. Can I, and it was a Friday. Can I let you know Monday? And I remember the recruiter getting angry. He's like, I can't believe you're saying no to this. Here's my mobile phone number.
Wow.
Monday's a holiday. Call me on Tuesday, yes or no. And he was really harsh. And I understand because I came across as such an ass. But for me, it was my now wife, then girlfriend, was in San Francisco. And for me, Star Wars is everything. You know, I wanted to work there. So it was such a naive, innocent, arrogant thing to say. But then I came home, was kind of fuck, I shouldn't have done this. And then I see a blinking light on the answering machine. Again, I'm old. It was with answering machines, blinking lights. And it was ILM. And then they said, hey, you want to interview you, come on Monday, which was really a holiday. And then again, it was like a bad movie. I overslept and I had to run after the bus with my jacket still put. It's like a bad movie. I got there, and instead of Sony, it was an hour interview. It was 15 minutes with Rob Coleman. He was the animator.
And no test. You had to do no test.
No test. Sony, no test. No one did test except Factor 5, the gaming company. They wanted to a vehicle flying, an idle, and a death. But that happened fairly at the same time. So by then I told them I have another job interview, or I'm taking this job. I say no. But Factor 5 was great. What I had to do for ILM was talk about my reel. We watched the reel, and then Rob said, okay, talk about your process. I was I don't know. So he was I moved the key. I didn't know what to say. It was so embarrassing. But he was so patient. And at the end, they were asking, what else do you have? And I said, well, I just came back from Sony. I need to let them know tomorrow. Can you tell me now? Yes or no? So arrogant. You know what I mean? But for me, it was I'm just this naive kid. I want to be honest. And they said, listen, we're doing all week. We can't tell you today. And they said just I would take Sony. It's a good offer because I told them that the amount of money and everything that they said. And at the very end, Rob said, if hypothetically we would hire you next week, for Star Wars, would you say yes? And I remember blurting, like almost like hugging, like yes, like it was an immediate yes. And I remember him laughing in my face, going like, "This kid is insane." And that was it. So I came home, bummed and happy, like happy to have an offer. Also bummed because it was in ILM because I saw like the buildings. It was in San Rafael. It was like the hidden buildings.
Yeah.
And then in the afternoon they called again, and then they said, "Listen, we don't want to lose you, but we can't match the money. It's too much. But we can do an internship or an apprenticeship."
It's so funny. I'm so excited in the story. Like I don't know what's gonna happen.
I know.
Tell me what's gonna happen.
But the thing is, Sony. I asked them, "I'm a foreigner. I need a work visa because my OPT is going to expire." And they said, "Oh, we don't know if we can guarantee that." And that was for me. That was it. Also a reason why I wasn't committing because I don't want to go back to Switzerland.
Yeah.
I need a work visa. So when I was on the phone and telling ILM, I was like, I don't care about the money. I need a work visa. I don't want to go home, which sounds horrible for my parents. Sorry, parents. They said, "Oh, yeah, that's no problem. We're going to do your work visa." So for me, it was like, well,
you're like,
yeah, okay. I said yes. Do it. And then they said, "Okay, well, we're not going to do we're doing an apprenticeship, but higher money, which was $18 an hour back then."
Okay.
And then that was it. And then a week later, I started.
On Star Wars
there, and it was awesome because I had a transferred VHS version of, I know what it was. Images from America was the title in German. I don't know what it was called. Probably like Star Wars making of, like this old making of some VHS. And you see the Kerner. That's the street at the Kerner buildings from old San Rafael ILM. And I was watching this on my little portable iPad clone type thing or iPod clone, coming out of the San Rafael bus and looking up and seeing that building there. It was so awesome. And then I walked in there, and then I was in the training room not knowing what was going on because it was either Van Helsing on what was it, Lightwave, I think it was back then, the program, or episode 3 on Maya. And I only knew Maya too, so I was already kind of nervous what's going to happen. And then they say, "Okay, time for dailies." And you go into dailies, I see people I've never seen before with all the interns in the back. And then Rob walks in, and I go, "This must be either he's the head of animation, just says hi to the newbies. I don't know." So then he goes in and goes, "Okay, new guys, we got, or we have new guys in the back." So everyone looks back, already embarrassing, like, "Don't look at me." God. And he goes, "So all the new guys, welcome to Star Wars." And I went, "Holy shit!" And then let's do dailies. And then they showed Yoda fight scenes, and it was really good, really advanced with plates and all that stuff. And then Rob goes, "Remember this?" "Yeah, my notepad." He goes, "Okay, that's good for rough blocking."
No.
I panicked. It's like, oh my god, this is rough blocking. And then after that, it was just writing everything down, and it was just like you learn at school, and then you're sitting in dailies at a company with people who've done this forever, and it's like a second school. It's insane. Like you learn so much during that time, and it was the best experience you can imagine. Again, timing was everything because it was old San Rafael where they had the model shop. So you'd be working in it. They have the overhead speakers to say loud bang in 5 minutes. And everyone would get up and leave. Like, what does that mean? And then it's the model shop with the ginormous, it was War of the Worlds that did it back then.
Yeah.
With a building and the tripod falling and exploding. So you would see the models, the miniatures. They had, Don Beasy was the operator for R2-D2. They had the original, like the Jedi Starfighter, the Anakin and Obi-Wan use, full scale. With R2-D2 and the light rig that goes around to see like that.
God.
It was just that on a daily basis. And then, what do you want to do for lunch? Let's go to Skywalker Ranch. Like, are you kidding me? So then you go to the ranch, and the first person that I see on the bike is Ben Burtt. And then you see Dennis Muir and you see George Lucas. It was just absolutely insane. And then because I was so nerding out, at one point I get a call from production going, "Hey, do you want to be an extra in the movie?" Because back then, back then, employees, they used them in the background to populate stuff not before DG-doubles, it was kind of like a mix. And you see in Star Wars, you see Rob is in there, John Knoll is in there, like all the FX people are in there as cameos.
Yeah.
So and I remember that it was insane. I was what was I? Some Senate underling something, like in some costume. And I remember the guy, not naming name, he was hungover. I think he threw up that morning. He was like, so he had like his beers, like, So we were on there standing, and I remember this where my appreciation for actors went way up again. We're in this massive hall, tall green screen, and massive amount of fans because it's hot. You have this costume, and there are lights everywhere, and you're sweating, and you got those fans. You can't hear anything. So we're their costume. The guy behind me, he had a mask on because he was an alien, so he can't see anything. So someone behind him had to kind of guide him as we walk.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, so you're standing here. There's the ship. Obi-Wan walks out. You just pretend that you follow them and you walk forward. Like simple instructions. The moment they go action, you forget everything. I forget my name. I forget where I am. And it's so panicky. So now I'm thinking about like Keanu Reeves, you have to do like those crazy action things, like one take shots. Like how do people deal with that pressure?
Yeah.
But it was awesome. And we did all those scenes and walk around for like background stuff and green screen stuff. And at one point we did like a massive close up like this with the other guy who was half drunk. And for the longest time, we're there where it's Palpatine talking to Obi-Wan, and in the movie, it's George Lucas's daughters in the background, but we didn't know that. So we were just placeholders. So I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be in the movie this big.
They replaced you.
For weeks, we're going, oh my God. Like, I'm not going to say his name, but like we were there going, yes. You could see our feet in the background in other shots. And then at the end, they replaced us. Like, yeah, it makes sense. But now, if you watch on the big screen, you can see my little bald head. I have like super short hair. You can see me walk. I'm in the front and like pretending. Dare I say my eyeline matches where they walk, stuff like that. So that was my insane experience of like 80 shots or so, like working on this where I come out of school where it's biped cartoony. That's all I did. I learned cartoony animation. I had nothing else. The movie was first shot is a vehicle animation on the flight path. Never done flight path animation, or I never even hit create motion path. Never. So you have that, you have creatures, you have motion capture, you have digital stunt doubles, you have all that stuff. So I learned on the job, which was unheard of. Like for me, yes, you still do, but it was just everything just blew my mind. And I thought, again, me being the idiot, this is what it's going to be. You do creatures, you do robots, you do digi-doubles and stuff like that. And then my second show was The Island, Michael Bay movie.
I love that movie.
First shot was someone did a train going this way. I had to just turn it 180. That was a shot. Digital stunt double was like this big, like 3 pixels going past camera when Scarlett Johansson is in the chopper flying past camera. And then they had those like flying jet ski type thing around the building. That's it. 3 shots. I think it was 3 shots. I'm going, oh, okay. That's the range. And I think the next one was Narnia, where we had to replace the fonts. Like the actors had those green legs to then do the creature legs. And I think I did like a tiger cycle, and I think that's it, something like that. You mean like so we went from like, oh, okay, that's the realistic thing, and then it was kind of on off. You do small shows, big shows, and so on. But it was just a very long answer. I already forgot your question, but that was my introduction to how this was with people that were really nice. Rob Coleman was super nice. Like everyone was really, really nice. And it just to this day, it blows my mind that I was able to do that, and that everything lucked out in terms of timing. And thanks to people like Sean, probably recommending the reel, Rob taking a chance on some idiot intern. Like, try. You've never done any of this, so let's give you a chance. So for me, it's always like, I will never forget that. And whatever I do, it's always like, like we complain within the animation industry about what we do, shots, Maya crash, blah, blah, blah. But in the grand scheme of the world, our jobs are like the 1%ers. Like my homework is to watch movies. I animate and I have a movie playing in the background. I mean, my office is like toys.
So beautiful.
Yes, it's reference. But it's like I buy toys, and like that's the fun of it. I'm not somewhere where my job is like physically demanding, where like my body breaks down after 10 years. Or like I'm a truck driver who has to constantly drive, or like jobs where you have to take drugs to stay awake because they ask you to work 20 hours a day. I don't have life-threatening jobs. So for me, it's always, yes, we complain, and I prepare the students like this is a rough industry. There's stress, there's job insecurity, and all that stuff. But that's this tiny bubble within the context of the larger world. We're doing just fine.
Well, you were
Again,
right about how important timing is. Because we've
absolutely,
had
yeah.
other guests talking about how they got into the industry years ago. And it is similar
Nothing
to,
like his.
no, nothing like this, but the opportunities that you had then, it will never exist now. We still have amazing people that help you out and help you
Mhm.
network, give you opportunities. That's still there. That's part of the industry. But you can never, it's just getting jobs
I
the
don't
way
know.
you did.
Dare I say, my counter argument is that, I mean, I still have students that graduate and go straight to work on Spider-Verse, or they get to work
True.
on like Inside 2. You mean like there's Inside Out 2? Like there's still people, and it's always the same thing. You have this pyramid of people, the top people, and then the lesser will just need more work, like more time.
Mhm.
For me, it's never you're not good at animation. You just need more time than other people.
True.
And that top part is also maybe they have more time, maybe they have more resources. I mean, there's always so many reasons why you're not where someone else is. But I think the difference, and this is where my cranky, bitter old animator comes in, is that back then we had Pixar, ILM, PDI back then here in San Francisco, or close by. And then you had Disney, VFX, Sony. They were just kind of starting with feature animation, but it was very VFX heavy, not that much feature animation, and it was really hard to get in. And that was kind of it. Versus nowadays, there's so many companies, and I'm so jealous of every student who gets to work on an animated feature. I've never worked on an animated feature in terms of like long term of a couple of years. I did like at ILM here and there, with little things that we did. But even now, ILM is doing more, right? They have Ultraman Rising, and then they have Transformers. So I missed that boat on feature animation, and it's actually rough because again, I'm not complaining because I'm super spoiled. But I have a hard time breaking into the feature animation industry because my reel doesn't reflect any of this. My resume doesn't reflect any of this. So I can't get in. And then I see the students who graduate who get to work on animated feature, and I go like, damn it, like I'm jealous. And I shouldn't be, but I'm going to be honest, like, damn, I wish I could do this. So I understand that people, it's hard for them now, especially after the strikes and all that stuff. But it's the opportunity of remote opened up so many more jobs. There's so many more companies that do cartoony work, super cartoony work, or realistic game companies. Like there's so much more out there than back then. So we had kind of less people, less companies, but now you have more people, more competition, but also more companies.
Yeah.
So
it's
you're not
yes
worried
and no.
about everything that's going on right now? Because there are
Some
so
degree,
many students coming in and they will ask like, should we come into the industry with everything that's going on? There are already so many people unemployed, and we have no resume, nothing on our reels that shows past experiences. Is it wise to come in right now?
To be honest, it's the same conversation that we had 20 years ago, because for us it was motion capture was the big thing, where like it's going to steal. I went to SIGGRAPH and they had all this thing, and nothing happened with motion capture. Like it's awesome and it's a great tool,
but it's a tool.
I wouldn't say AI is the same tool. I think AI is going to displace a ton of people for sure, just because it's just a different beast where you generate final images versus motion captures data. It's different. So it's definitely a different boat. But at the same time, I'm just, maybe it's also because I'm old, but that's the theme. I'm just not interested in AI in terms of content, where I don't want to watch an AI movie because it's, besides right now it's all stolen content when it comes to artwork.
Yeah.
But
there's no feeling.
There's no human vision behind it.
Exactly.
So I'm not interested. Like there was a Toys R Us commercial that came out a couple of days ago.
I saw,
and it's got like, okay, well this car is like, there are two cars mixed together. It's already wrong. And I'm sure in a couple of years it will be perfect. Like I think it will get there where it's going to be, you type it and it's fantastic. Again, based on stolen art, they have to figure that stuff out. But at the same time, I'm not interested. I think younger people won't know better. If you're like 10, 12, and that's your first experience, like in a couple of years, or 8, 9, whatever, right? You probably will not get that, and they're going to be okay with AI stuff. That's my worry for sure. It's like, I want to see movies on the big screen, but kids nowadays watch it on the iPad. Like if my kid watched something on the iPad, let's say you want to watch Inside Out 2. And he says, okay, let's just, when it comes out on streaming, let's watch it on my iPad. I will yell heresy. Because I have a projector that, like, for years I have a ginormous projector because I want to see things on the big screen.
Yeah.
That's my reaction because I'm old. He will go, iPad is fine. You know what I mean? So it's like every generation has less appreciation. Like I want to see movies in black and white. People go like, black and white, fuck that. Like there's no color. Like there's always a loss generationally, unless you are film student and you appreciate the craft and blah blah blah.
12
but that's
Angry Men.
that's like a 1% who will do that. The general public won't care, also because they won't know the difference. So I think it's probably going to get to a point where you can just type in, I want to see, I'm sure some actors will sign away their rights and go, I want to see Ryan Gosling in whatever, Star Wars 17. You mix all those things and it's going to create this movie for you, and you're excited because these are my ideas. I see this with the actors that I want to see. I'm happy. I'm sure that's going to happen. And that's sad to me, but I'm sure a ton of people will love it. You know what I mean? Like, I like this actor, but I didn't like him in this movie. I want to see him in this movie. I want to see her do this. I want to see her being whatever person. And they can do that. I'm sure that has a pretty wide appeal for a big amount of people. So I think that is totally different versus mocap. At the same time, anybody who studies movies and filmmaking and anything in terms of art and creating art will always like the vision behind it. And you're always going to have a subset of people who wants to see something done by someone. It's based on experience, based on emotion and feelings. And I think it's going to be, movies might end up being like vinyl now, where like, I can listen to MP3s. Why should I have like scratchy records? But people who know, like, but records, they sound warmer and it's different. You know what I mean? Like, that, I think that's what it's going to be. Just like stop motion. You know what I mean? Yeah. People like stop motion, but it doesn't have the same mass appeal as it used to have, or maybe it never broke through. I look at stop motion, and this blows my mind. Like, these are for me the top animators. Like,
that's beautiful.
But no one else will think that. You show them, like Paranorman, and they go like, okay, why is the cloth jittery? I don't know. Yeah. So I think it's going to be potentially divided into people appreciate that art and people just want to see what they want to see, literally what they want to see. But I think it's going to be also like, it's always a pendulum. Right now, one company goes into AI and then all the other shareholders are panicking because we're not doing AI. So everyone wants to do AI until they realize AI is crap. It's going to swing back and then swing until it's, okay, we dialed in this AI thing where it's actually helping us with tools and imagery and blah, 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 where it is like mocap. It's
like an assistant.
It's an assistant. Like AI can be used to denoise renders. I think that's awesome. It will be faster. And if it's faster, you save money. And if you save money, the budget goes down, which means you can make more movies, which means you can be riskier with movies with riskier stories. So I think that's cool. Yeah. But the artwork is different. Like, I love AI in terms of like research. Like, my mom told me just a couple weeks ago, they found something somewhere in the desert and they couldn't, it was super fragile. They were able to scan that document, the writing, and through AI reconstruct the actual writing, what it was, and then they deciphered like super old writing. So for me, like, AI in terms of like medical things, of maybe diagnosing things better and faster, always with supervision of a human, of course. But like, there's AI that will help humanity, there's AI that will destroy humanity. Yes. And the genie's out of the bottle. Like, we can't stop it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's on a roll right now.
No. So we'll see what happens. It will definitely affect people. Just to not even answer your question. I think, yes, it is a warranted worry for students now, for sure. But I think it's going to get better. It's kind of like, you got to survive kind of this year, next year, and then it's going to be okay. And then it's just learn the tools, and maybe the next thing is less animating by hand, but you're the storyteller. Maybe the next wave is, I used AI, but it's still my story. I came up with it. I didn't use any other artists. That's not good. But I'm the artist who created this story with those tools. Do you like my story? And maybe that's a whole new thing in 20 years where it's just personal. It's like storytelling. It's almost like hieroglyphics on the big screen. I don't know.
With AI, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. But again, there are a lot of jobs out there. So I think that's my counter argument, because I look around everywhere. So there is more than back then. It's scary right now.
I mean, we all say we need to survive to 25. I think it's going to be a few months.
Someone just told me that like a couple weeks ago. Survive to 25. Where did you hear that?
Yeah, we keep talking about all of our
first interview was with one of our old coworkers, and he's been in the industry for 30 years, and he's just like, yeah, I've seen this before. I've gone through strikes. Basically, you just have to survive to 25. So we've just been continuing. We're just like,
and then everyone, other guests would say we need to survive to 25. So now everyone says it.
Yeah. Strikes are hard. I totally get it. Like, I just started that Frame Store, and Frame Store Vancouver closed. like
We heard
because of many reasons, right? Also the strikes, because the strikes always in VFX have such a ripple effect of delays.
Yeah.
But it's also like we wouldn't be here in terms of contracts without the strikes. It's a rough thing where like people complain stop striking, but people never complain, well, why did people strike in the first place? It's because of the companies
I'm
and the
glad they
contracts.
striked. Yeah.
Why don't you put that anger towards the big corporations and studios and blah blah blah? But the immediate thing is, well, you stopped working and I lost my job, which is true. But again, what's the origin of that? So yeah, I don't know if that's an answer, but it's definitely scary. Just hang in there. There is stuff out there. Remote definitely helps. And that's all I can say.
But like, yeah, I agree with you that there's stuff out there. I guess the issue that we're seeing with, new people. So like we call ourselves COVID babies because we started literally during COVID.
As soon as COVID started.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
so we've never been we've never been at a studio. We always worked remote. We don't understand how it feels to be working in a studio.
Yeah, and it's also the jobs we're seeing too are like it's senior right now. They're looking a lot for seniors. And then when you finally see that position where we're like mid or junior, they're asking for like 5 years of experience, and that kills us because we're like,
and so many different skills. You need to be a complete generalist, know so many softwares and so many years under your belt, and you're like, I can't.
It depends where you look, because the thing is, the animators that in my classes, and when I start somewhere and I see new people come in, we still only do Maya. It helps if you know scripting and stuff like that, and if you're in games, of course, Unreal. Like these are the extra things. But there are specific job postings for generalists and animators. And I think like if you start nowadays, let's say at Disney, right, or say Framestore, you're not a generalist. You're an animator who knows Maya, and that's it. And the 3 to 5 years, don't believe that. It also kind of weeds out the people who will give up right away.
True.
And I think if you say,
that's a good way.
Oh, we just need 6 months experience, anybody who just tripped on the keyboards, who made something, is going to send their reel. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, just see it as in, no, we're just going to weed out people, and we want people, that know their stuff.
Really want.
But if you graduated and your reel is awesome, why would you say no? Also, that person's going to be cheaper than a senior.
That's
you know what I mean?
True.
So just think in those terms of like weeding things out. There's also a writing process they have to have for me as a foreigner. Like when I applied in this for ILM companies, they have to offer the job to locals first, be it Canadian or let's say Americans, right? And until every American said no, or they can't find anyone, then they hired a foreigner, and that way they can tell immigration, we tried local, but no one is here. So this justifies our request. Please grant us the visa. We'll pay for it. That's the process.
Okay.
So it's not, like, don't feel, it's not that harsh. Like if you're good, you're going to get hired. Yes, timing is an issue, of course. But if you're really, really good, like a really good graduate versus a senior who has a reputation, who costs too much, I would take the junior, and they still do. So I wouldn't be that discouraged, if that makes sense. The studio thing, I understand for sure. I got into like a Twitter fight at one point a couple of years ago. I was going like, yeah, remote's awesome. And that person said, yeah, but I'm sure you liked starting at ILM at a studio. And yes, I did. But at the same time, I was also married already. No, 2 years before my wedding. And I like my wife. Like I want to be with my wife. So for me, it was, had they said all remote, yes, bummer, because back then, especially at the Presidio ILM, as a fantastic campus, you want to see it, like Pixar, Google, or like Apple, like all that stuff, right? But at the same time, I'm kind of a homebody. As you can see, my office is always here. I like that. I don't mind. So it really also depends who you are. If you're single and you're always remote, for sure, that's not the best thing. If you have partner or you're with people and you just want to be home, and then the moment the job ends, you want to go out, I think it's great because you don't have to commute. Like I was up to like 3 hours a day commuting because of traffic.
That's a lot.
So that amount of time I can sleep, I can spend with my kid. You mean like spend with my wife? There's so much more to it. So it really depends. Do you want to be at a company and enjoy the campus? Fantastic. But where are those companies? In what cities? Can you afford those cities? Chances are you can't, right? London, Sydney, San Francisco, Emeryville, Pixar, maybe. But so you have to factor in commutes. So bus? Is there bus access? Is there I don't know, like train, whatever you have? So you got to get a car. Can you afford that? Can you afford driving for an hour? You know what I mean? Like, so there's the allure of working at a company. And again, I don't want to be like all arrogant because I worked at a company physically, but now been remote since 2020. I love being remote. It's great for different reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when COVID started, my little kid was here, literally right next to me because they had to switch school to be Zoom. I saw him learn. I saw him sing in class. I saw the homework, which I didn't see with my older son because I was working and he was at school. So I love that. But if you don't have kids, you don't care. So I totally understand that you want to be at a company. But I think it's going to be also know that when you're sick and people still come to work when they're sick, not good. If you're remote, stay home. When you still want to work. But there are pros and cons. But I totally understand what you mean.
The perfect combination would be hybrid. For me, if I could choose, I would choose hybrid because I can go in and see people. Because we're still really learning things, and I really want to just watch people animate. Just like maybe I want to take a break and just watch people and see what their workflow is, how they're working on a shot that maybe I had before them, and how they're fixing it. And I just you get less of a chance when you're working remotely. So hybrid is just perfect for that.
You triggered Siri for some reason.
I know, I heard that too.
You heard that?
You know, I keep doing this because when I used to work at Halon and I had a supervisor called James, every single time I was talking at the meetings, the Siri would go off. Is my voice or something? I don't know.
That's weird. But you're totally right. Like, I totally agree. You're totally right. Like, there's so much you learn sitting in dailies with other people. Quick questions, tech questions, for sure.
Or just getting inspired.
You're right. Maybe the hybrids, yes.
Maybe I would just talk to you if I worked at ILM and I would take a break. I would talk to you instead of vacuuming at home. You know,
that's what she does on her break.
That's what I do on my breaks. Yes.
You got to vacuum though. You know,
I mean,
at least you got
anxiety.
time. If you work at a company, you're commuting, then you're home. You don't have time to vacuum. That's
Nothing.
also an issue.
That's why hybrid is the best.
I totally agree. Hybrid is for sure. Also, the companies that allow 100% or hybrid. Like if you really can't. Like right now, I haven't changed all my residence of Framestore because I am actually moving to Montreal. I'm doing remote for a couple of months and then move to Montreal, just me, because of the position and the show that I'm on. So, but they still do hybrid. And there are some people who there's an animator from Brazil, 100% remote. Someone who I think is in Montreal said he's going to be 100% remote.
It's great to have that opportunity.
He has to take care of his kid, and Montreal has a ton of snow. They can't come in during like snowstorms. But I totally agree. The option to come in and see people, see it up close, be with people, I think that's the way to go for sure. With the option to be 100% when needed.
Yeah.
You know also, the option to be 100% there.
Yeah.
Like, I can be 100% at Framestore if I want to.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Fun fact, Stormy and I almost got into Framestore.
We were so close. We were going to London and everything. We were so excited. We had back-to-back interviews with me, Alejandro, and one of our other friends. And she got it, and then
the strikes canceled it for us. Yeah,
sorry,
so close.
It's
okay. That's the thing. There's always the timing. Timing is everything. Again, and I'm in the fortunate position to be able to move there while my wife continues to do stuff here, and it's hard. It's going to be hard to see if we can actually balance it. But it's for How to Train Your Dragon. So that project was something like I really wanted to do, and it's with people that I know. Some of them. And my mom being French, I speak French somewhat. It's gotten very broken French, but that also
Montreal
helps.
Would help,
yeah. But we're about to move to Montreal for Framestore right before COVID, and then COVID hit, and then we couldn't. We were locked down, and then moving companies. It was a bit of a hassle to get that stuff going.
Yeah.
And then since then, like every company I worked for since it was all in LA, so it was all remote, which I love. Again, I love remote. Also, like I have
Blizzard.
Stuff here and I like all that stuff, but it would have been nice to see people in person for sure. But again, just to go back, it is hard, but it's not as hard as you think. And not saying that you're missing the easy part. It's going to swing back, it's going to get better, and there are more positions out there than you think. And don't get discouraged by those resume, the language of all that.
Yeah, I think I get not confused of what to put out because I have a previous reel, for example, and I worked on a few movies, and they have not released any of the footage, even though the movies are out.
Yeah.
So I don't have stuff to show, even though I have like
Yes.
3-4 years of experience. So then I'm like, but I have a few. Should I apply with that reel? Should I just focus on personal stuff right now? Should I say I'm a generalist? Should I say I'm an animator? Should I say I'm a previs artist or a layout artist? So it's like,
Yes.
it's a lot that you have to deal with, but yeah, it's definitely gotten better, and no one should be discouraged. It's they're opening up even now compared to 2 months ago. There's so many much more open positions. So 100%.
But you're right though. That is rough when you don't have footage to show. I think it's a combination of, do you have any footage that's good enough, and then you have to work on your own stuff at home.
Yeah.
To supplement.
Yeah, both.
We both have maybe like 2 clips that we are legally allowed to show, but it's just like we worked on so many.
So many
no, I totally get it. It's hard. Like I'm about to start a reel because I have nothing. The few cartoony things that I have are okay. The stuff that I like is not publicly available, so I can't show it really. So like I can't show my VFX stuff. So I have to do a brand new reel, 100% cartoony. And then the problem with that is first world problems. But when I apply, they're going to see the resume, the movies, VFX, and also do the math of how old is this guy, and also the salary. So all of that is already, why would we hire this person for an animator job who is like 20 years younger, 50 times cheaper, and probably has an animated feature under their belt? So like that's my first world problem struggle.
Interesting.
So
I never thought about that side of the struggles of that side.
I don't think we have either.
Yeah, but I even heard from companies like, oh, we don't want to hire you, overqualified. It's like, well, why would you're a supervisor? Why would you be an animator? And that's really rubs me the wrong way. Not for like ego reasons, but it's like I like animating.
Yeah.
Like, I worked at Blizzard before Framestore, and that was a cinematic animator position. I didn't do any leading or swooping, and I loved it. I love animating.
Those shorts are so good, by the way. I love the Blizzard shorts.
They're so good. Like the quality and the people are so nice. They were so nice. Blizzard blew me away in terms of super like detailed feedback, super focused feedback. The way they go about giving you feedback was great. The quality is fantastic. Their rigs are so fast. It's so while doing like up close facial stuff.
Yeah,
it was so great, and I loved it. But it's discouraging when you're already being tossed aside, going, well, you did all this. Why would you want to be an animator? Like, I want to be an animator. So how do I convince people that I don't want to be a supervisor all the time? I love doing it, but it comes with its own challenges. But a lot of times when you supervise, you don't animate. But I want to animate, because I also don't want to lose the muscle memory and like knowing how long it takes to animate things. So otherwise your notes are getting kind of weird. So that's my old age struggle, you know?